Hi. So I figured this might be an easier way to tell the story of what happened to me this morning at the doctor versus trying to write it all down. So I have a musician friend here in Nashville who I was talking to the other day and telling the story of how incredibly painful my arms are at night when they fall asleep, and instead of it being like this tingly falling asleep, it ends up being like this. My hands are on fire, my arms are completely numb, and the only way that I can get them to wake up is to stand up and walk around my house and move them. And the minute I lay back down, it starts the whole process over again. So my friend told me about this doctor that has worked with the Titans and the Predators and really has a soft spot in his heart for musicians with issues that he feels like he can save them from surgery for. So I got the number, I called it up, I made an appointment for this morning. I showed up at 8:30 in this office, walked down this little hallway, looked in all these dark rooms, couldn't hear anybody, and said, hello, hello, hello. And this little dude just pops out. Says, hey, you must be Carrie. And then we walked into this treatment room, and there's like a massage table or like a chiropractic looking table, and he had me sitting on it, and he sat in front of me on a stool, and he didn't ask me what the problem was. I just kind of busted into what the problem was, told him what I've already said to you, and without saying a word, without asking any questions, he just reached out, grabbed a spot on my arm, on my forearm, and pressed in hard and said, is this it? With every single cell in my body vibrating and moving and feeling like he had just hit the hot button on my arm. And the weirdest thing of all was that last night I was laying in bed trying to get my arm to wake up, and I was kind of massaging my forearm and kept running it across that spot going, gosh, this one spot just hurts so bad, and I don't remember it being like this. And you know, but I didn't say a word about that, and he just put his hands on it without even asking a question. And then he kept putting pressure on it and moving it around and moving my elbow backwards and moving my hand across the top of my head and keep pressing it, twisting my hand different directions. And then he went and picked up a guitar and said, okay, now see what you can do on this. And I, who have not been able to play a bar chord for over a year because of just not having the strength in my left hand to make it play, played a perfect bar chord. And then he said, now stretch out your fingers like you're reaching for a really high note. And I could still feel something when I did that. And so he started the whole thing again and said, okay, we got to get that little spot. And I was just sitting there in this state of shock and awe. And I said, how did you start doing this? And without looking up, without stopping what he was doing, he just said, I fell off a mountain. And then I said, well, what do you mean you fell off a mountain? He said, I was a mountain climber and I accidentally slipped and fell. And then he said, my girlfriend made me go see a chiropractor. And I said, a chi-what-a? He said, I was so unfamiliar with anything alternative that was outside of the realm of Western medicine that I wouldn't have given it the time of day until I saw the effects of what it did for me. And he said, then I was just on this path. So we spent probably less than 45 minutes together. At the end of the session, he said, okay, he gave me 2 exercises to do. He said, do these religiously every hour for the first 24 hours and continue what we've started. He said, I promise if you do this, more than likely, you will never have to see me again. You will never have this problem again. He said, because it was so deeply rooted in my arm this blocked meridian, what he called it. He said it's going to try to go back. It's going to try to reform that same little spot. So do the exercises so that it doesn't come back. But he said on the off chance that you still feel a little twinge of it in a couple of days, he said, call me. We're going to nip it in the bud. We're going to get rid of it once and for all. And that's really all I think it's going to take. He said, you responded super well to this procedure. I could feel it the minute we started working. And he said, I think that this is really going to help you. He said, our bodies can heal themselves. We just have to know how to listen to them. So that is the experience I had today. I've been doing these exercises religiously every hour on the hour. And as of right now, I can feel the difference. So that's my story.